Hey everyone, I'm kicking off just a little bit early just to avoid any technical issues. If you guys could just let me know if you can hear me okay, that'd be awesome.
Loud and clear for me.
Hi, hello, loud, clear for me.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much.
Hi.
Okay, cool. We'll just wait a few more minutes. Just let everybody join, and then yeah, then we'll get things going. Great. I think we can get things kicked off. So, on to knots in the wider ecosystem. Welcome to our AMA, where we will discuss the convergence between decentralized identity and AI. I'm Claire, Ontology Growth Lead, and I'll be your moderator today. So, this AMA will be about 30 to 40 minutes. We'll allow for some flexibility. We also have a bunch of questions to get through, but we really want to allow for some natural flow of conversation. So let's see if that develops. With that said, we're going to kick things off with some intros. So I'm super excited to have Jack and Gustav from Port3 Network joining us today. They're going to chat about some recent developments in AI, as well as our ontology head of ecosystem and resident content guru, Jeff. So he's going to chat about the recent launch of the Ontology DID fund. And also for me to just to apologize for my voice. I have a bit of a sore throat today, but we're going to push through. Okay, cool, guys. So we'll kick this off. Jack, Gustav, do you guys want to just go through a quick intro for yourselves and maybe give an overview of Port3 Network?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let me start. I'm Jack, business developer manager from Port3 Network. I've been working for Port3 Network already for a bit over a year and excited to work here. Quick introduction, Port3 Network. What is it? And like Port3 Network is an AI servicing protocol with a mission to establish a servicing layer leveraging universal basic equities where projects can come and build on top of us with access to a lot of on-chain and off-chain data, decentralized computing platform, and open cross-chain execution layer. That would be a quick introduction on me and the Port3 Network. Gustav?
Yeah, all right. So thanks, Jack. I'm Gustav. I'm head of operations. I've been at Port3 over 2 years now. I am here today to answer some things about operations as well as community engagement and how we are seeing the future for Port3.
Great, guys. Thanks so much. Really looking forward to learning more about some recent product developments for Port3 Network. And Ontology always talks so much about community. So, Gustav, can't wait to have your input there. Jeff, I mean, it's not like it's going to be the first time we've ever done this. You want to do a quick intro? Let everybody know who you are.
Yeah, of course, of course. Good to meet you, Gustav and Jack as well. Great to have you here on the spaces. So I'm Jeff. I've been with Ontology I lose track of time, maybe 4 years now, maybe a little bit longer. So I look after this sort of European ecosystem. And to be honest, pretty much anything else I can get involved in. And I do a lot of talking and sometimes have to be stopped talking. That's okay. Now, Ontology, real good links actually. I love what Port 3 are doing. I've spent a little bit of time looking into what these guys are building and what they're working on. It's really quite exciting and links really nice with Ontology. So Ontology set up to explore two things really, and that's decentralized identity, letting people control their identity, have ownership of their identity, and also kind of linked to that, that idea of decentralized data and data management, data both off-chain and off-chain, and how that can be better handled with cross-chain. I think Port 3 do the same sort of thing, that they look at that cross-chain interoperability. And so there's a lot of different things that we have similarities in there, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting synergies and potential topics for us to discuss. And I was particularly interested in just learning a lot more about what the guys are up to in Port Three Network and how this can potentially benefit any of the ontology community. So I'm just going to put the question out there between Gustav and Jack. I'll let you guys decide how you want to work this. But what I would really, I think the community would love to know as well is, like, what are you guys up to recently? I know there's a lot that you're working on. Anybody that's checked out Port 3 Network, and from the summary that you've both given, as well as Jeff from some insights, there's a lot happening. So is there any kind of recent product launches or maybe enhancements for user experience? That's always kind of a hot topic in Web3 as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let me answer this question, and maybe Gustav can top it up with some answer as well. So I think like the massive recent thing that we built, it was expanding to Solana ecosystem for our products to engage and enhance the user experience, enhance the cross-chain experience and interoperability. That was like around 10 months ago. So we're also welcoming any meme community from Solana ecosystem to interact with Port 3 network products. What else? Also, we tried to launch our launchpad, and it did well a couple of months ago, and now we're fully redesigning it and adding some Port 3 token utilities for the launchpad, and it's upcoming in a couple, maybe next week. Yeah, and that is one of the things I've been focusing on lately to enhance user experience, enhance involvement of users into the Web3 space in general. Thank you. Gustav?
Oh, that's a lot. You said there's only two things, but that's a huge amount. I think from just to look at for even for the last few months. I mean, a launch pad, and then also like a massive integration. That's super impressive. I think we would love to hear a little bit more as discussion progresses. Jeff, I just want to give you a chance. You said yourself you like to chat, so I'm going to give you a chance to jump in. Maybe you've got a couple of comments on this. If not, we can jump into the launch of the decentralized identity fund from Ontology.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is this growing understanding across Web3 that you can't be in one place, right? You can't be sort of cheering on one chain for success. It's especially when you're working with things sort of off chain, on chain, and you're working with and bringing users on board. You have to be across different chains. You have to be able to work across different chains. And I'm always really pleased when I see different projects trying to achieve that. I think that's really cool. And your developers must be absolutely knackered after working on integration into Solana. I know that can be difficult at times, so that's really impressive that you've got that done. Launchpads are really important as well, so that's really cool as well. I'm happy to kick straight into our DID fund if you want, Claire, and what we're launching on that. That seems like a natural place for me to go.
Awesome, let's do it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's been our big thing, right? We've been building decentralized identity for 6.5 years, pushing 7 years, and we've got a pretty robust offering, right? I mean, DID, to say we've been building it for so long, is still new. It's still relatively new. People are still just getting to grips with the idea that they want to implement it into products, they want to implement it into what they're building. So one of the things we focused on for this year is just trying to make that as easy as possible for people. So we've got the $10 million fund that says to people, right, if you want to help us get this out there, if you want to help us make it easy for people to use, easy for people to build on, if you're a project that can incorporate it, we've got the financial support, we've got the technical support, we've got the community support. So that's the big thing where we're pushing out and just trying to communicate with people right now is we want to help you understand DID. We want you to help us get other people to understand DID, and then let's get it used across the entire ecosystem, across all different chains, across lots of different projects, lots of different protocols. Because when you do that, it becomes even more valuable.
Definitely, and I think
couldn't agree more.
Oh, sorry, guys. I'm going to let you guys speak.
Sorry.
Everybody hears me all the time. Don't worry. So please, Jack, go ahead.
No, couldn't agree more. That's it. That's all I want to add on the top of that.
Okay, I hope I didn't kill any flow of conversation there. Sorry. I don't want to ruin any natural flow of conversation just because we have some questions there. So please feel free. Let's just jump in when if you have anything else to add, that would be great. But yeah, I think just to add to a couple of points that Jeff made, I'm looking forward to anybody that's new to the space. I know that we have a bunch of new people coming from the Port3 network side of Twitter. Really looking forward to kind of letting everybody know exactly what the fund has to offer. I mean, all the way from content creation to building within to building decentralized identity, and then obviously all the work the Port3 network have been doing. I mean, Jack, you summarized it so in such a brief moment, but it's an incredible amount of work that your team has put in over the last couple of months with the launch pad and then this massive integration. So I would love to know, like, the kind of what pushed you to do kind of these two massive and like with the massive integration and then also the push for, I guess, a development in the ecosystem. Did your community have some input on this? Were you kind of receiving some feedback, or were you kind of just looking to kind of have more community initiatives in general?
I'll take, yeah, and
Sorry. Go ahead.
as we develop, yeah, I think Jeff also mentioned this. Like, you can't just be stagnant and only focus on one thing. So our products came out. We brought out SoQuest first, which is our questing platform, and onboarded like 4.5 million users. And this gave us like a base of where to go forward and where to get data for our data layer. And it also, building. We know that new projects have trouble with launchpads. We have a good community. We have a social part to our SoPad before, and this enables us to get users more involved, and that the users that actually make a difference inside of our ecosystem are benefiting more from projects being launched on Port3's launchpad. And incorporating different chains, users always ask for this. They want to use this chain because maybe they are native on Polygon, or they are on BNB chain, or they are on a new chain that has come out. And our devs are quite good, and they work very fast to get integration. So this is something that I think we have a little bit of an edge, is that we are able to bring in new chains very fast, and then also develop products quite fast as well. And this will be off of community feedback, and then also just from our CEO and CTO, as where they see the project going, and what they think is, they have their end goal in mind, building this AI servicing layer. But to get there, there's a lot of boxes that need to be ticked, which means that we have to build a lot of things because they're not there in the space yet. Or if it's there, we can utilize it, and we can incorporate it into what we are building. So this is something that is quite great about blockchain, is that projects are very open to partnerships and sharing tech, and making sure that communities are able to benefit from new partnerships. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, right? So this idea of sharing and sharing tech and pushing forward, I think most projects, most of the ones I've spoken to, most people in the space realize that actually the competition isn't really in Web3 at the moment. It's such a small space. We're expanding and building that marketplace. Actually, our competition is getting people from Web2 into Web3. That's where we want to be. And I think that's a really positive approach to take and a really positive push forward. I love the idea of these data layers. I'm a big fan of data. I think I had a conversation with somebody the other day around what Web3 really brings to the table. What is it really, really good at compared to Web2? And I think the two things for me that Web3 is really good at, it's good at lots of things, but the two main things for me is data and identity, because that security of data, that accessibility of data, that the ability to use that data and own that data and do different things, Web2 doesn't do a great job of still. It's still a little bit exploited. It's still not very secure. It's not always easy to link together. So I think that's a real benefit Web3 has. I'd really love, not today, but at some point, to talk to you guys about Orange Protocol, which is like a little project we have with Ontology that enables bringing all that data together. So if you bring all that data, you've got your APIs on chain, off chain, the idea that you bring all that together and enable people to build things like reputation scores and access that not just through Orange Protocol, but as a port 3 kind of reputation score, if you like. I think there's lots of opportunities to do different things like that. That was it. I was just really interested in what you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. Just for a little bit additional context for the AMA today, we were like just kicked off a new collaboration with Port Three. So really excited, as I mentioned, to introduce them to the ecosystem, to the community, and then also to kind of use the time today to chat about potential synergies. As Jeff's already mentioned, Gustav and Jack as well. So I think it's going to be super interesting. Jeff, I think you're after making kind of a nice, I guess, pivot towards us just talking a little bit more about the reason behind the investment from Ontology into this decentralized identity fund. Like, I mean, last week we had some discussions around GameFi, for example, and it was a topic that you just touched on, was security, like comparing Web2 games to Web3 games, for example. So yeah, if we can learn a little bit more about kind of why we're kind of more focused on decentralized identity, or why the fund kind of matters, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, everything people are building on chain, it's really important to understand where that individual sits. Now, think about what Port 3 are building, right? They're on Solana. They might build, on various EVM change and various things like this. You get lots of things to manage as a user. Then you have to manage different addresses, different things. You've got your EVM address. You might have a Solana address. You might have an Ontology address and various other things. With a decentralized identity, you can kind of bring all that together across all the chains. So you've got one thing to manage. On top of that, this idea that you can understand from a user perspective and a business perspective, the advantages of decentralized data from a user perspective is you own that data. You can go down the path of zero knowledge proof, so you can choose to expose that data or not, to expose certain parts of it, keep the rest of it private. You can also, from a business point of view, segment that data into interesting things so you can understand your customer base better. You can understand the Web3 base better. You can understand what people within a certain section are doing better, which means you can better serve those people. You can better provide them with what they need, or you can serve them in different ways in terms of understanding what that marketplace looks like. All whilst at the same time keeping the control of that identity and that data within the hands of the user. That's sort of what underpins what we build at Ontology. Now, what we try and do is put that out there to people and say, here's the package, here's the SDKs, here's what you can do, integrate it and build it. So I mentioned Orange Protocol, they build decentralized reputation. But we can do lots of things, whether it be credit scoring, reputation scoring, or just understanding proof of humanity, where you fit. We're talking AI. Some AI We see videos, we see pictures, we see writing. We already have problems with civil attacks and things like this. How do you prove humanity? Who owns that decentralized identity to say, I've proved my humanity, you can see who I am? And that becomes really important. So the entire fund, in reality, is to empower projects to better serve both their users and their partners within the businesses they build. And that's the sort of broad overview. And I think that's really important. And I think you mentioned earlier, Claire, that can be in the realms of education, that can be in the realms of project integration, it could be in the realms of community actions to bring people together, sit down and figure out how we can best serve each other, and all those different things.
Yeah, definitely. And when I connected with Jack and the team initially in Port 3 Network, we really, I think, connected over the fact that we're so open to just ensuring that each side of the community was educated and that there's support for the community. And I think that that's probably a great connection that Ontology has with the way the Port 3 Network structures a lot of what they do, right? The guys have already given a really high level overview of taking feedback from their community and then ensuring that this is implemented into what they're going to be producing when it comes to their products. Guys, Jack or Gustav, I'll throw the question out there. Whoever wants to answer that'd be great. But what are you guys thinking of what's going to be happening for the next year? Is there a roadmap or anything else that you'd like to share? Or alternatively, also open if you wanted to jump in and chat with Jeff about anything that he's mentioned. We've got our questions, but always happy to kind of leave it a little bit more open.
So thank you for the question, Claire. For this year, we are planning to launch after our launch pad is launched. After that, we are planning to launch our testnet, our layer 2 for Port 3 network, and see how it's going to fit in the market, how it's going to fit in with the projects, and start to onboard projects to build on the top of us with our massive integration to different kind of chains, and this is the one thing that we are focusing right now, for this year. So we are also, at the end of the year, we're going to launch our AI data layer, so project can come and enhance and train the AI models with our data that we provided, collected over the years, and around actually social identity, so people can learn, build around that some AI apps and build on the top of us. Gustav, would you like to add something? Oh yeah, our BQL. Can you go for BQL?
Yeah. Our BQL. So actually, this is something else that we also developed, which is a natural language model used for. It's a natural language model used for creating on-chain tasks. So a lot of times users with the launch of new networks, of new projects, a lot of time there's an incentive period where early adopters can earn points, or they can earn something that will then translate into airdrop later on, or in some way get them rewarded for their efforts. Now, this usually takes the form of either swapping on-chain or doing something on-chain to test that network. Now, this is tiresome sometimes for the users because they have to use many different methods to do this. What BQL does basically is the project creator can write out the code, and then users just click a run button and it automatically executes that function, which is fantastic simplification for the user. And it also makes it easy for projects to track actually quite on a dashboard easily what is happening on their network. So that's BQL. That is going to be, it's already been out for a while, but we are a bit of reinventing it a little bit, just making it a bit smoother. And because it's very, how do I say it? It's created by devs, and they create things in a certain way. And we are now working to bring in some designers so that the design it's smoother for the user experience. And yeah, Jack, so like you mentioned, we are launching the AI data layers coming out. We're just developing and adding onto our products already. So SoQuest will be adding on more things. And also with the Launchpad is getting a rework as well coming out in like the next 5 days. So everything there is developing and just improving on what we have and then adding some more uh, ecosystem things for the Port 3 ecosystem.
Yeah, and with big QL, so basically also on add on top of that, it's in the future you can create an on-chain workflow. For example, you want to do like buy some meme coins on Solana, swap it from Solana to USDT to buy from USDT to something else, and so like stake it somewhere and so on and so on. And later on, it will add with natural language interaction on like on the chain itself. Yeah, that's the main focus and mission of BQL, and why we're building it.
That sounds really cool. Can I just clarify? Is this sort of then using natural language essentially just to simplify those processes for users? So, Web3 can be quite complicated at times, right? Is that what you're trying to do? Just that natural language, just make it more simple for people?
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
simplifying on-chain interaction and cross-chain interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, users can already use it, but the setup of it is not quite natural language yet. So you need to have, like, I would say, just a rudimentary understanding of how coding works, very, very little bit. But you still need a little bit of a logical, it needs to go in certain places each of the lines. But in the next iteration of the BQL, it will be natural language. You just write out what you wanted to do, and then the AI will write it for you and make sure that everything is in order that you wanted to do.
And is this something that did you mention that you guys have already rolled this out, or is this kind of still in beta, like a learning phase almost?
Yeah, I
It's
think I
it's
would
already
say it's
yeah. I would
out,
say
but
the
it's
the
kind of like
the
beta.
first phase. Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the first, even though like last year we launched our season one and we achieved almost 1 billion trading volume from the BQL side, and we rewarded more than like users with more than 4 million US dollars uh, for interacting with our BQL. And like right now, even that the script, the code that developers have to write, it's close to the natural language, so it's easier to understand even for developers to make the template and for users to run it.
Nice. That's super interesting. So there's so much happening in the space with you all also. Just for us to kind of, I know we're kind of nearly coming towards the end of the session, but I want to give Jeff a little chance to jump in, either with comments on what Gustav and Jack have mentioned, or another initiative that they're focusing on, or whether you wanted to give some additional information on the DID fund. So we've already spoken about the fact that we're like open to DID education within the community, and then with other sections between all the way down to building. We have a bunch of kind of requests, a launch and everything else. But if there's any other information or kind of outreach or initiatives that you wanted to touch on, Jeff.
Well, a couple of I'm going to touch on both those things you
I
invited me to
asked
talk
you a quick
about.
question. One go there. I just realised. Sorry.
I mean, like first of all, this natural language thing is amazing to me. I've been degenning my way around this space for a long time now. I've spent a lot of time doing quite complicated things for very little reward, often spending more in gas fees, especially 2 or 3 years ago, than I actually earned doing anything else. But that's half the fun of Web3. But even I, with all that experience and all those things, sometimes I look at things and it's quite intimidating, right? You look at something and with all the steps you need to take, all the things you need to do, it can be quite intimidating. As a new user, that can be really intimidating. So the idea that we can simplify this using AI, using natural language models, I think is absolutely brilliant. I really like it. So just a big shout out to what you guys are building. I think it's really important for the space on that. The second thing, just on this idea of the DID fund and what we're doing, in the tweet that Ontology had for this talk, you will see a link to a form, right? I would challenge people to think about things like what the guys at Port 3 are building, these natural language models, these data things. Come up with education pieces on how these could work together, come up with suggestions, come up with infographics, videos, doesn't matter what it is. Think about how decentralized identity can enable these projects to do even more, to do even better things. And fill in a form and get in touch with us. Join us on Telegram and have a chat with us. We want to really tap into the creativity in the Web3 community. I'm never ever failed to be impressed by how much ingenuity is in this space. So just get in touch, fill in the form, talk to us. Let's see if we can do things. That would be my final call out on the DID fund.
Yeah, I couldn't agree.
Man.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
sorry.
just going to interject. Yeah, no. It's all right. You need to lead it. But I mean, I'm quite strong with people educating because I have been in I have been in this space for crypto maybe 8-9 years now, and this is something that is initially you have people that are a little bit tech savvy. Before we had only computer based wallets, and you had to understand how they worked, and then went on to browser wallets, and you need to understand how they work and how to access them and how do your seeds work and all of these things. This is something that in time you learn about this, but a new user coming in is someone that struggles. They don't know anything, and this is, like you mentioned before, Jeff, quite daunting for new people. And having some project or having just a good education about what is going on in the space is really, really important to onboard the next couple of million users that will come into the space. Because I mean, we are all building fantastic things in here, but if we are not getting past that bottleneck of users can't access it because it's a little bit difficult, like they always say you need to be able to let your mom or your dad sit in front of the computer, and they should be able to understand what to do without looking up several guides. So I think this is something that is fantastic from you guys. You have a fund for people to go out and to create this content so that you can educate users on your project, but also on just Web3 and how to use it safely and how to control the data that you are giving out. And I mean, this is fantastic to see from you guys. Oh, that's me.
Thanks so much, Gustav. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I have to probably just iterate a lot of what you've just said for ontology back to yourselves, and I think this is what definitely attracted us to host the AMA today. Keep it quite open, is to like give an introduction to both sides of the community, both ecosystems, let everybody know what's available. And when we connected initially, we both agreed that it was really important to educate the ecosystem just in general, right? Even if there's nothing else that could potentially come of it, but just that we educate the ecosystem and kind of connect in that sense. So I mean, I've really enjoyed the chat today, or the AMA today, and I'm really excited for us to have another together, which is definitely going to happen. As I said already, this is really early stages of a collaboration, and I'm really excited to be able to share with our community everything that you guys have already achieved, even in the last few months, which is quite a lot. And really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today, and also for us to be able to share lots of details for the Decentralized Identity Fund. I mean, I'll open it up to all three of you if you want to have any kind of final words. I can hear my own voice, so I do apologize to everyone for that today.
I just thank everybody for turning up as always, and say what I always say when I'm talking on these spaces is go out and use protocols, going out and see what you can do with Port 3. Come and create a decentralized identity with ontology, get onto a wallet and create a DID so you can see it. Web3 is about learning by doing it safely, but do it. Get involved. join the forums, I'm showing my age there, right? Join Discord, join Telegram. Forums are probably dead. But do these things and talk to people and get involved and use things.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Jeff. And also, yeah, making mistake is a part of the wisdom, right? So don't be afraid to make a mistake. Be very careful about, and yeah, learn and be encouraged to learn and see what this Web3 space can bring for you specifically, because there's a lot of opportunities, and yeah, learning is one of the way. That's it. Thank you so much, Ontologies, and thank you so much, Claire and Jeff, for having us here. Yeah, that would be me.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Claire. I hope the voice doesn't sound too bad. And Jeff, thank you very much. It's great to hear about what you guys are building there and how you are going to get users onboarded and making sure that that people understand where their data is going and how they are being used, how the data is being used as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's stay connected. I mean, this is only the first space that we're going to have together, so I mean, there's going to be a bunch of other updates. But yeah, so nice to have you guys in the space today. This is one of my favorite spaces. I love when things kind of just progress with a little bit more of a natural conversation. Look, we're going to have a lot more spaces that are going to come up around decentralized identity. Join me on Friday if you want to hear me talk a lot more. It's going to be our community call. Hopefully, my voice sounds a little bit better. But as always, you know, with Jeff, our resident content guru, you can always check out everything he's doing. But with Jack and Gustav, thank you guys so much for your time. And yeah, really looking forward to sharing more content about what Port3 Network and Ontology are going to be doing in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. It was great being here, and I'll tune in on your Friday call and listen a little bit what's up in your going on in your community.